Hello, everybody. Let's build some drums. This will be for a song called Friend Number Two. It's an old pop punk song from my teenage years. Um, Trying to breathe new life into it. Okay, we'll start with this and splice it up a bit to get what we want. So I'm going to want a kick drum here. Take this one out. Put a kick drum here. Take this one out. Okay. Yep. Merge these together. Cool. The next part is going to be halftime. So what I can do is this. I'd prefer it to have a ride cymbal. We're going to try this one here. And first, we're going to change the power hand to a bell shank on the ride. I want to get rid of this first ride hit here. Okay, so this is too busy for what I want. So but remember, we can always just splice things up. Take this kick drum out. We're going to put one right here and one right here. Take this kick drum out. Put this one here. Let's see, is it going to go here? Definitely not. So one is going to go right here. Yep. Merge these. I'm realizing these don't have opening hits, which I want. Cool. Paste these here. Now, when this song was originally done, there's a really busy fill right about in here. So actually, nope. We're gonna sneak in right here. I'm actually gonna, oh, no. We're gonna copy this. Snare hit there, and then we're gonna take this snare hit out and put a kick drum. We're actually gonna put the kick drum right here. This actually needs to stay as a snare now that I'm hearing it. Okay. Put a couple kick hits there. We get a so this had originally been a ghost note snare, but we need it to be louder. Take this kick drum out. I'm actually gonna put this ride hit right here. That's starting to sound put a kick there. I'm not sure why there's not a ride right here, so we need to put that in. And change this articulation to a bell shank. Oh, it's because there isn't supposed to be a ride right there. Duh. So we're gonna put right here a floor tom or a rack tom here. Put a take this kick drum out. Put a floor tom here. Take this snare out and put a floor tom or a kick drum. So it's going to sound like this. Yeah. And then right here, we're going to put a fill. This one works so good for so many spots because it's such a common drum transition. And then we go back to this. And I'm actually gonna take this kick drum out. I might add it back, but right now I'm taking it out. We'll merge this together. That goes there, and this goes here. So I want to hear this whole thing together. I want to hear this bass articulation. I'm just listening to the strumming pattern of the guitars, and we're actually going to take this kick drum out. Okay, let's listen to it all together. Cool. So then we're going to go into a chorus part. I'm going to start with this pre-built. I'm going to start with this pre-built beat. What I should really do is merge this and save it as a 4-bar. So cool, and I have an idea for a fill. I know where one is that'll work perfect. I thought I knew where one was. Here we go. We actually just need the end of it here. I do know that the velocity on this is not as high as the rest of the song. So I'm increasing it. Not that much. And we got a couple issues here. So we're going to take that opening hit off. That is what the issue was, is this opening hit was happening here. So cool. So this is going to merge together. This will be the first and third. And then we need a fill for this one. So for this one, keep it real simple. I just want the end of this. So all together. Yep. Great. Although I am hearing something weird on the other one still, so I'm going to increase the velocity on this just a tad. I think my issue is that I need to have I want to put a hi-hat right here. Cool. And then this goes here. Put this hi-hat here. And then this next part is super simple. Drums don't need to do much of anything. So it's just it's 3 hits of a floor tom snare combo. And then 1 hit that's a China cymbal snare combo. I'm actually gonna pull this right here. Nope, I'm gonna put this right here, and it's going to be a crash cymbal articulation. It's going to be a crash cymbal articulation. So I'm going to put this here. It's going to be a crash cymbal articulation power hand. I am going to change this to say like chorus or something. And then it's going to be, then we need a surfy, kind of surfy 2 kick drum, 2 snare, ride cymbal kind of vibe. And I think around here will get us in the ballpark. So I'm actually going to use this fill here, but not actually use the fill part, just the lead in. And we're going to put a kick drum here. Merge that. I'm actually going to put another ride cymbal here. Actually, it's not a ride cymbal yet, but it will be a ride cymbal. So I'm going to change this articulation to a ride cymbal. And then this is going to have an opening hit. But this one isn't. Merge those together. Put another one right here. Let's see. Well, you can't really hear that at all, can you? So we're going to increase the articulation. Put this here. I'm going to remove this. Remove this, merge this, increase the articulation on the whole thing, or the velocity. You'll notice I mix up velocity and articulation all the time, which really stymies instruction. Cool. And then I want to, there we go. Do this, take the opening hit out, and in fact, on this one, because there is a space for a crash cymbal. So you hit the crash cymbal and then there's a small break and then back to the ride. But since we took the crash out, for this part, we don't need it. So we'll paste this in here, merge all this together. Now let's hear what it sounds like together. Cool. And then that goes there, and I believe on these last ones, I'm going to change this ride cymbal to the crash still on this last set of this. I just want to hear it. Actually, no. I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to take this opening hit out. We do need some fills. Cool. And then it goes back to this. I'm just going to merge all this together. Chances are some of these fills are going to change, but this gets a good foundation going. And then it goes back to this, actually. I'm going to change this to a verse. And then let's just check this out. This part I'm probably going to make a tad different. Let's see. We're going to switch those to China's. Okay. Okay. So then the next part, I need kind of like the part that I'm looking for is most likely going to be, or something similar to what I need is most likely going to be in intros. So this will go here. Power hand is going to be ride. I'm going to get rid of these two rides here. Great. I am going to increase the velocity on this, everything. Cool, cool. That is exactly what I wanted. I am gonna just do that. So let's get to here. Great, 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 great. Next part, I'm gonna drag just kind of a basic beat in. But I know I'm gonna need a kick drum here. I'm going to need to take this kick drum out. Put a kick drum here. Take this one out. Took the whole thing out. So take that out. Take this kick out. Put a kick in here. And then I can probably just remove that, merge this. This is gonna get an opening hit. Let's see. Nope. We need a kick drum here. Forgot about that. Okay. Cool. Let me listen to this though. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna take those out and we're gonna change this to an edge hit and increase the velocity and see what that does. Yeah. The thing is, though, it would sound way better if it was a buildup in velocity. So maybe this one goes to there. This one goes to about there. This one goes to about there. Yeah. Cool. That is really good. We'll merge those. And this is all going to repeat. Okay, so we're gonna have a bass break here. But I want my hi-hat to not ring out. Put a hi-hat here. Make it a tight edge, decrease the velocity. Okay, so it has a big fill. A big fill. Okay, so it has a big fill coming in, and so in my mind, the fill has to be exactly as it was played all those years ago. Not that most, if not all of you, have heard this song. In fact, I would be surprised if anyone outside of Bremerton, Washington has ever heard it. But regardless, the fill has to be as solid as it was. Okay, so we're going to start with this fill because it's got sort of similar accents. But we're going to take this, we're going to make that a rack tom. We're going to take the snare hit out of this. Take that out. This is going to go back to there. And then this should be a kick. So that's the first part, and then change this to a floor tom. And then another one of these. And you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to just take the beginning of this because I know it's a good snare and cymbal hit together. So let's see what this sounds like. Nope, too slow there. So this is all going to move over one. That is exactly what I'm looking for. So it'll So if you want to use the tap to search function, which I'm doing right now, I usually slow my tempo down because I have a terrible mouse for this, but I slow it down all the way, and then I just put in a kick and snare pattern. It's actually not what I want. And what's great is it'll move the things around to where it thinks you were trying to hit instead of where you actually hit, which is fantastic. But even then, like, there's nothing that has that kick and snare pattern. Exactly. So what I'll do is I'll take this. I'm going to so what I'll do is I'll take this, shorten it up, and get rid of some of these hi-hat hits. Didn't get rid of some of these hi-hat hits. It didn't get rid of all of them that I wanted. I don't want this one either. And then we're gonna put a snare right here. Get rid of the snare that's here. Okay, and then we need to take this snare out. Wait a minute. No. Oop. No, we need to take that snare out, put a snare in right here. We need to put a snare right here. Take this hit out. Merge these together. I'm actually gonna put an opening hit right there. See where we're at before I continue. let's see where we're at before I continue. Cool. And then we're gonna put this here. Make this a crash cymbal hit. And then this actually has a really long snare build up. So we'll put one of those in. And I have so I actually want this to have a little bit more oomph to it at the beginning. Just a little bit. So let's go right here. What I want is this. I want this hit to be right here. And realistically, a drummer would probably skip that hit. Yeah. So it'll sound like this. And then we go back to this part. Oh my God. And then we go back to this part, so I'll copy this. Okay, so then after that verse, so after this, so then after this part, there's going to be some kick drum cymbal ring outs. Okay. So I'm actually going to change this to that. So this part will be like this. And this is gonna repeat several times. But to make it interesting, we'll take that hit out. And then on this one, we'll take this hit out. Okay. We'll repeat these right here. And then we're going to take this build up here and we're going to do something with it. We're going to paste this here. No opening hit. We're going to get rid of almost all of the end. And we're going to change this to a floor tom. Change this to a kick. Yeah, change this to a kick. And then change this to a snare hit like that. See what this sounds like. We'll change this hit to kind of a double snare hit. So all together, this part sounds like this. And then we're in the outro. So the outro. The outro has a couple snare hits. But they need to be way less. They need to be way less strong. This is actually a kick drum. This needs to be way less. So what we're going to do is put this like this. And do that. We're gonna this needs to have a different power hand. So the first ones, the little like kind of snare ghost note is just every other time. And then it starts to be every time. So what we're going to do is cut this up because it's going to power hand here, power hand here, power hand here, power hand here. So it'll be like yeah. Merge that. And then it'll just kind of repeat like this, and it's a fade out. And what we can do is play around with the power hand articulations on these alternating parts. So like on these ones, like why don't we do sometimes I have to mime it to make sure that it's actually physically possible to do this, because I don't want to do anything that's not physically possible. I want it to sound pretty real. So I have an idea. I don't know if this is going to work, but I want the power hand for this to be this, and I'm really going to crank the velocity on it. And then the power hand on these to be this. Yeah, that works. And then we'll just do the first ones again. I honestly can't remember how long this goes for, but this might be the last measure. Apparently not. So I'll just keep repeating these, and basically this is just going to be a fade out, so I don't really need to have any sort of thing, and if it keeps going then I can add more. Looks like it does repeat again. I'm gonna make these say ending, and I'm gonna make these say outro. No. make this say outro. Okay. The only other thing that I want to add that was on my mind when it... The only other thing that I want to add that was kind of on my mind when the part came up, but I just wanted to move on, is adding a couple hi-hat. The other thing I want to add is in the break, it came into my head when the part happened, but I wanted to move on and get the bulk of it done, and then come back and do this, and then come back and do this idea for a hi-hat kind of trill, I guess. Okay, we're gonna change this to there, put the velocity up, and then we're gonna put a hi-hat hit here, a hi-hat hit here. Change these to a tight edge. Let's see if they're right there. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll do kind of a same thing, except for it'll be ride hits. Yeah. So again, we're gonna increase the velocity, make it a bell shank. All right, that is the song, so we'll listen to it, see if anything comes up. All right. I did hear something that I want to change. Um, let's see. It is in this part. First off, this needs to be that. Okay. I want... We're gonna do something like this. And then this fill is just not doing it. It needs to be just like a simple snare roll, is what it needs to be. So we're just gonna... So we're gonna put in just a basic snare roll here, I think. So this fill is not doing it for me. So we're gonna just put in a basic snare roll. And see how that sounds. Yeah. Take out that opening hit. Just wonder if that part needs that extra snare hit right here. I'm also wondering if this part needs that extra snare hit that I took out. So I'm going to do that. Take off this crash cymbal. Maybe. There we go. Sometimes they don't want to go away. Okay. And then In the original song, he actually does this fill one more right here. So I want to see what that sounds like. Yep. And what I'm going to do here is kind of, just to spice things up, kind of change the power hand on some of these. Yeah, just, I think along here on these, just changing the power hand from time to time is going to make things a lot better. For one thing, this should be an open edge 3, not a crash cymbal. And then I wonder how this will sound if I do that. So let's go to 131 and that I didn't really care for, but let's see if we change it to a bell shank. Who knows? Actually, I know what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to do this. I think this will be good. Yeah. Yeah. This one also has a crash cymbal hit that I don't want. It needs to be a Nope, it needs to be a hi-hat hit. Open edge 3. Probably don't need any extra velocity. And then make this one that. And then that'll be it for the song. So as I'm making the drums for this song, I have some scratch guitars and bass that were just played to a click with no... So as I build these drums, there's a couple scratch guitars and a scratch bass that were played to a click, so they are technically in time, but they're not going to be in the pocket with the drums quite yet. So after I get the drums done, then I'll re-record bass and guitar and get everything locked in. But sometimes it helps, especially when doing these videos, to have a melody so you can hear what the heck is going on and why I'm making the choices I make.